Good evening. Happy Monday, and welcome to Manic Mondays with Miss K on Attorney Vincent Davis's platform. We are here every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, where you can come and tell your story, your maniacal CPS, ACS, or whatever acronym you may use in the state you reside in. We are currently in New York City, and I have a very special guest to join us today to tell her story. And hopefully, we'll have more guests that would like to come and share their message. And just remember, guys, innocence is worth it. So again, this is Manic Mondays with Miss K on Mr. Attorney Davis's platform. And I'd like to introduce my very special guest and very good friend that has her own maniacal CPS and ACS story, and her name is Miss A. She is great, and she is going to blow your minds with the things that she has been through. But she is a survivor, and remember, guys, innocence is worth it. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce my friend and my fellow fighting parent, Miss A.
Hello, everyone. My name is O'Leary. I have a situation with my case happening in Jersey City, New Jersey, where my kids were taken for a situation where I go through a seizure attacks and I don't know what happened. So they said when they took my kids, I don't even remember everything that was going on when it happened because I don't even know where I was when it happened. So right now I'm just trying to figure out from other people like what they're telling me what can go on or what I can do about my situation. So right now I'm here with Miss
Miss K.
Miss Eb. She's telling me situation what was going on with her kids. So I just want to know who could tell me other things what's going on with their cases. So thank you for having me here.
And you are very welcome. So, just to start off and give the audience a little bit about, what your story consisted of, and how old your child or children
My
were.
kid was my youngest son was not even a year old yet. My oldest daughter she was 4 years old. And for some reason, I heard about that my kids had to go to the hospital. And when I got to the hospital, I ended up having a seizure attack. And when I got to the hospital, for some reason, I left my son outside. And they said that when I got outside, that I was trying to snatch my baby back. And they just took my kids away from me. And ever since, I haven't seen my son ever since. My oldest daughter is now about to be 20 years old and my son is now about to be 16, so I haven't seen him no more ever since this whole situation happened.
So, Miss A, can I ask you this? During the process of you having these seizures, was this the first time?
No, but this is my first time having the seizure attack when the kids were taken, yes.
So, did you have any like alternatives? Did you have any resources that helped you in the home with this medical condition?
No, I had nobody help me. There
Did
was
you
nobody
request
there except for my family, but my family couldn't do, they wouldn't even let my family do nothing with my seizures, my situation.
did you request special services
I
for
asked for
this?
I asked for everything. Nobody's was saying everybody was saying no, you can't do this. They were saying, oh, there's no such thing as help with getting your children back. When I got my two kids back one for one time, and then the whole situation happened again, and then they just this whole time again I never saw my son no more.
And how old is your son now?
My son is now 16 years old.
And do you have any other children?
I have two more girls, and my oldest daughter that was taken from me the first time, she's now living with me, and now I have another daughter, and she's living with me now. That's why I'm trying to figure out why I'm still having seizures, and none of this is happening now.
Do you have any in service home care now?
No,
Has CPS helped you with any resources?
no resources, no nothing.
Have you requested these services more than once?
I have been asking for help for ever since my son was taken from me for the longest, and I haven't seen him no more.
And what are just some of the responses that these caseworkers tell you?
They keep telling me that they can't do nothing about it. Being that my case was long gone now, they saying there's nothing they can do.
And as far as your son, have your rights been terminated?
No,
So you still have visitation and access to your son.
I could just talk to him. Talk to him. That's the only thing I could do. I could do no visitations and nothing.
So just electronic
We're
communication.
still doing electronics. We're talking over the phone. I haven't seen my son since he was about 6 years old. That's the last time I see my son.
Does he know that you're his birth mother?
Yeah, he knows about everything.
Did you request in-person visitation?
Request with visitation and all the parents that has him now, we try to talk and have days where can we come and see him. They say, oh, we can do that, but they still haven't let neither one of me or my kids go see them yet. They
Is
keep
it,
saying yes, we can come see him, but we haven't seen him ever since he was 4 years old. I'm 6 years old.
are there any court orders at this present time restricting you from having physical access with your son?
No, there's nothing going on.
So based on those things that CPS has failed to honor as an agency that is supposed to provide supports and resources for parents in crisis or medical conditions that debilitate their mobility or maybe their cognitive thinking.
There's nothing they won't let me do. Right now, he's on adoption. He's adopted. I
So
can't see him
for
no more.
TPR, for termination of parental rights.
Nope.
And when is your next court date?
I have no more court dates. Everything is closed.
So I'm a little confused. The if your CPS case was closed
Mm-hmm.
and there was no termination of parental rights, you still have electronic communication with your son,
Mm-hmm.
but no physical
No
access
physical access, nothing.
and no court orders,
Court
no
was
orders of
everything
protection.
was closed. The whole thing in Jersey was closed.
You need to reach out to Attorney Vincent
That's
Davis
what
for
my
counsel.
husband was telling me that I need to find me an attorney. Cause we were just talking about that yesterday, matter of fact. Cause he's still trying to figure out. Cause he's saying that New Jersey shouldn't have never did what they did with taking my kids in the first place. Cause I have a situation where I go into a seizure and I don't know what goes on.
And you're basically covered in the United States Constitution under a medical disability by the
Yes,
American
they
Disabilities Act.
Yep.
So, because they have violated your constitutional civil liberty and infringed on your way of life by restricting your access with just one child when you have custody of the other two children that you bore, it's a little hurtful to see, things like that when those agencies are designated and trained to provide these supports
Right.
for parents and, you know, basically the impoverished communities, the indigent communities, the communities that have lack of knowledge, resources, and financial compensation or stability. So, I know your child personally.
She
She's
know
an adult
she
and I don't feel like there's any wrong way to excuse me, to parent, just unhealthy and unsafe ways, as I say all the time.
Mhm.
And I've met Miss A from the time she moved into this development up until present day.
Mhm.
She has been with me through the trenches. I have been to birthday parties. She has helped me prepare for birthday parties.
Yep, she's
She
done a
is
lot for me.
the
We
most
both been doing a
dependable.
lot for each other, yeah, since I moved here. Cause I've been in New York for only since 2011. I moved here, and ever since I moved here in 2011, I've been getting more support and help here in New York than I've been doing in New Jersey. As soon as I got I found a doctor here, she went and found me a nice perfect doctor, seizure doctor to go to, and he's been helping me ever since I moved here. And ever since I moved there, he's been helping me with my seizures. And I've been still having seizures. And my daughter, who's the youngest, is now 9 years old, and she sees everything that's going on when I have a seizure. So right now, I don't understand like when that was going on when I was having them in New Jersey, that all this whole situation happened to me. Cause she's still trying to figure out why that even happened. Even my husband is still trying to figure out, and my aunt is still trying to figure out why all this happened to me in New Jersey and it didn't happen to me here in New York. Like I'm getting more help here in New York than I was in New Jersey, and it doesn't make no sense.
And are you talking about medical help? Because I'm more than sure CPS is not helping.
No, it's not. It's not
Just
just
medical
that.
help.
But my medical help, I'm getting more help with medical help than I was in New Jersey. I haven't had no medical help. I had a few medical help when I first started having my seizures, and that's when my parents was alive. After my parents passed away, that's when my seizures got worse.
Did
And
they
then my
say
medical, all my medical was going bad. I haven't had no Medicaid or none of that after my parents passed away, and nobody was helping me do nothing.
so? Now with the medical conditions you have now, if possible, could you tell our viewers just some of the things that you've had to go through medically, physically, mentally, that these people have just pried into your life of privacy and
I had to
basically
go
way of
through
life?
so much with my medical condition because when I was going to a seizures when I was living in New Jersey, being that I had doctors, but being that the doctors that I had over there was not helping me the way how I'm getting help here. Like I was told what to do, where to go, and how to take my medication. When I was living in New Jersey, they was doing none of that stuff for me over there. I was getting no help at all in New Jersey. New Jersey wasn't helping me in no ways. The doctors that I had went before my parents passed, he was helping me real good. But after my mom died, I couldn't get with that doctor no more because I didn't have the right insurance anymore. Because after my mom passed, my insurance aid has stopped. And then all of a sudden, as soon as I moved here to New York, everything got so much better for me. So I'm so grateful that I found the guy that I'm staying with now because he is so helpful with me.
Your husband,
Yes, my
your
husband,
husband,
my man. I love my
and
husband.
he is amazing. Also, he is also my grill master, and my party assistant. Like
Yes.
I have built great bonds in my community for those people that know me, and whatever I could do for anybody's child, not just mine. Everybody comes to Miss KK's
So
house.
very, very nice.
Everybody. And at the end of the day, when I have people in my life that are,
Excuse me.
fighting for innocence as well, I feel like as a community, as a demographic, as a whole, and just as parents, whether they be birth parents, surrogate parents, presumed parents, and step parents, we are all bonuses because we all produced perfect perfect
Everything with each
innocence.
other. Yeah.
And when you build a community and adopt family, sometimes the family that you share DNA with
Yep.
is not the person or persons that you need for support because they use your trauma and abuse as leverage to demean you, criticize you, disrespect you, and abuse you even more. And now you have your children witnessing those things. So not only is it coming from the intersector of familial ties, these agencies that come in and fail to honor their scope of practice, their duties of their job titles, and their ultimate mission statements, the ones that pop up on these websites that make them seem so supportive and resourceful,
Exactly.
that is total false advertisement and lies at its finest. And Miss A recently, had a detrimental health scare. And I apologize if I disclose that, but I won't say exactly what it is unless she's comfortable with that. And yet she still is a fighter, still here, still being a parent, still being a mom, still being a survivor.
Yes, I am.
Because innocence is always worth it. And innocence is perfect. There is nothing imperfect about innocence. So y'all parents, y'all keep fighting out there.
Yes.
And is there anything else that you would like to say? Because I actually like my husband to speak on some things that happened over the duration of the last 2 weeks. But I am definitely very grateful that Miss A decided to share her story and pass the message and let people know that just because you may have a disability, just because you may have a history of substance abuse or alcohol abuse, just because you may have a mental health diagnosis or domestic violence issues on your back end,
Right.
parents are trained and groomed to protect, nourish, and progress. Parents make mistakes, but the one mistake I tell people all the time is you cannot imperfect innocence. That is the one perfect thing we as parents will get correct every time, as long as life is breathed into those children. And, my heart goes out to Miss A, not because, of her medical condition, because I'm a mom too. I'm a mom too with a medical issue. I'm a mom too that is being targeted based on that condition. And there are some dads out there, like I said, my husband is one of them. But when you have a strong foundation and you adopt the people that are loyal, genuine, and love you unconditionally, it's not about what financial compensation may benefit you or, you know, be convenient at that time. It is the ones who are non judgmental, non criticizing, non slandering, and just ultimately open to hear your frustration, your exhaustion, the feeling of being overwhelmed with constant eyes impeding on your way of life. When an agency is neglectful and causes a
A struggle for no reason.
exactly a struggle, when you use the right word, a struggle.
If they just doing certain things. I understand you doing your job, but if you don't know the real truth, you shouldn't just take a child for no reason if you don't know what's the whole thing about. You haven't even thing about it when this situation happened to me. You guys didn't even ask me no question. Cause if you did ask me question, you was asking me while I was having seizures at that time. Cause like when I was going into a seizure, I couldn't answer no questions because I couldn't even listen to you because I was in the seizure. When I'm in the seizure, I can't even understand what you're saying actually. So that's how I know that when this whole situation happened, I know I was having seizures at the time that it was happening.
And that is where, you know, I would want to say malice and manipulation come in because they catch you at your most vulnerable time, take the things that are priceless and have no value but have the most value.
Exactly.
They infringe on your way of life. They impede on your style and morals and values and upbringing of the way you were taught to parent or ways you have learned how to parent based on maybe lack of support, lack of nurturing, and maybe lack of just maybe a child, and I'll always say as far as myself, I'm a child of abuse. I don't use it as leverage to gain sympathy, to gain attention, or to play the victim. My children and anybody else's children in this time, in any time when it involves CPS, ACS, DCFS, or corrupt foster care agencies, and those malicious foster parents that are blinded
Mhm.
by the words "In God We Trust." But yet, the financial compensation for human trafficking, because that's what it is, as usual, is unfair, unlawful, unjust,
Yeah,
and unacceptable.
exactly.
And you do not get to destroy foundations that most of us build on survival mode,
Mhm.
especially in those single parent homes. Because, as usual, two parents in one home, sometimes we are struggling.
Exactly. Exactly. That
These
is true.
rents, these lack of supports, these lack of programs, these lack of resources, these
Mhm.
lack of people that are put in a supervisory stature to accommodate the needs or crises of the families that come to them or that are reported and investigated. And then they drag the time, impede on just the way you live life. You have constantly getting choked up. Sorry. You constantly have to worry about if somebody is going to misunderstand something or analyze it in a negative aspect to where, based on your history
Mhm.
and anything that, you know, is in the confines of those three main topics, substance, medical, or mental health,
Mhm.
a lot of the times the medical aspect and the mental health aspect, they go hand in hand. And I say that from experience. When people are diagnosed or labeled with mental health claims, it tends to play a part on your physical aspect because it causes you to sometimes want to give up, let go, give
Exactly.
in, stop fighting.
Exactly.
But our survival instinct as parents, whether they be mothers or fathers, whatever their title may be,
Mhm.
you have to remember survival of the fittest and self preservation are the number one aspect to a positive way of life. You have to be able to adapt, evolve, and accommodate yourself to whatever environment you may be in, and basically, honor that cliche, when in Rome,
Right.
or do what the Joneses do. So, as far as Miss A's aspect, her medical condition has already infringed on her way of life, let alone her child's way of life. Because one, it's something that is uncontrollable, something that is not foreseen, and something that has not been assisted with getting resources or supports, so these things can be minimized, prevented, or restricted altogether. I know from experience, and sometimes when you don't know what to ask or where to go, it puts us parents in a place of helplessness to where we're afraid to ask for help, because if we do, then these agencies analyze that as taking blame or admitting fault.
Yep.
If we don't ask for the help that we may need, it either becomes a teapot kind of situation where you're waiting for the whistle, a
Mhm.
pressure bust pipes kind of situation, and then an ultimate devastating cataclysm of destruction and dysfunction where fatalities, mortalities, loss of freedom, loss of mental stability and cognitive thinking, and also hope.
Yep.
But when we parents stick together, they say united we stand, divided we fall. It does not matter what color skin you have. Everybody can be at their lowest, minus a paycheck.
Mhm.
Everyone is one paycheck away from being homeless in this economy. So the one thing we can do as parents is stick together and fight for our innocence. Because again, that is my mantra. Innocence is worth it. Never stop fighting.
Right.
Never stop fighting. And I know my husband wasn't prepared to speak today, but we have to give you guys a little insight on how the system
Right.
screws you, then charges you,
Very
and then penalize you.
Right.
yes.
So again, I want to give Miss A a round of applause for telling us her story, putting her message out there. And if anybody has any advice, you can reach out to the producer, Grace. You can also call for a consultation for Mr. Davis at the number listed below. And you can reach out to KK Richardson on Facebook and try to be a guest. So Miss A, I appreciate you.
No problem.
And we are here next week, same time, same place. So I want to introduce my husband, Malcolm Jordan, and let him tell you our
The awkward story.
yes. Without further ado, Mr. Malcolm Jordan and his maniacal Monday story.
Hi everybody. I know you seen me before, maybe. Um, I was a co-host with Miss Akima on Deidre's show, um, another platform, and I've also been on Manic Mondays. Well, anyway, to the matter at hand, um, crazy story. Basically, I went down. I had a court date for our son. It's a child support case, of course. So so I went down to Virginia, and I had no idea that I would be facing incarceration that day. Had I known, I probably would have planned and probably would have done some other things. With that being said, the reason why I had no
You, Malcolm, just tell them why we went down about the child support and the order for show cause that was never heard based on them.
oh yes, like Mr. Kima said, we put in for an order of show cause, which was never heard, and the whole reason for the child support case, when they first mailed out the summons, they mailed it out to actually my grandfather's house, a place where I haven't lived at well over 5 or 6 years, and so I didn't receive it. With that being said, they went on to just go on with their court case without me being present, and they awarded her a certain amount to be issued out monthly. So moving on, fast forward to the time now, um, the money was currently coming out of my checks, so it was showing that I was actually honoring what was ordered. I didn't do it right away because I didn't get a job right away, but when I did, I started having it taken out or whatever. With that being said, when I went through the proceeding, I couldn't afford an attorney because they said that I make a shockingly $33 more than what was required for me to be appointed an attorney by them. So it really put me in a bind with having to try to come up with getting my own attorney, knowing that I didn't make enough to have that. So not only was I penalized for them already receiving benefits from me, I got penalized for not having an attorney as well. The judge he spoke with great disrespect for the simple fact that I couldn't get an attorney. It rattled him up, and I tried to explain to him the same things that I just said just now. And what ended up happening was they um they appointed me to 1 year, a 1 year sentence, and they suspended 6 months. And they also gave me what is called a purge bond. And that's when you have the ability to basically pay what you owe for your freedom. And with that being said, it was no way that I could remain incarcerated because I have an up and coming court case for my son, which I'm still fighting for full custody for him, based upon the neglect that his mother endures. Um, as far as educational, as far as medical, he like I said earlier, I know you probably seen me previously. Like I said before, that my son hasn't had any medical attention since 2017, and it's a ton of neglect that his educational level, he's still on the kindergarten level. I can go on and on, just naming so many things. But back to the court thing, um, I end up being incarcerated for a little over 2 weeks. Um, might have just been 2 weeks exactly. Because I had to raise enough money for to get out. They didn't give me the option like they normally give people for their first time for this situation. They normally give you the option to pay a certain percentage. I wasn't given that option. Um, I was just told that I had to pay the whole thing off. And by the grace of God and by the grace of family members and my wife and myself, um, we was able to come up with the money to grant me my freedom so that I can continue to fight for the custody of my son. And I just want everybody to know out there that things might get in your way, brick walls might come up, but that's why they got demolition man. And I'm definitely one of them. So if anything coming my way to try to stop me from getting my son or to try to stop us from getting our daughters, we're just gonna move through it. We're gonna run through it, run over it, run around it, whatever it takes. We won't stop. We just gonna keep on going. And it just inspired me to want to fight harder. Cause I feel like I'm in a boxing ring and I got him up against the ropes and his knees is noodles. So I'm going for the knockout blow. And that time back, it gave me some time to really think about some things that I need to do, some things I need to change up, and I've been trying to apply those things, and some good things are coming out. But one thing that I do know, that day in May is coming,
Talk
and I
about
and I'm a man, but I'm gonna say it like this: the boy is ready. He's really ready. He can't wait until that day comes.
talk about the parenting time coming up.
And oh yeah, we have parenting time coming up with my son. And the ironic thing about that is we try to conduct ourselves as adults all the time. So my wife, she reached out to his mother to talk woman to woman and try to explain to her that based upon the fact that I have 50-50 rights just like her, that the parenting time starts when spring break is over, which is Friday. So we were saying that we would pick them up from school on Friday. She then wants to start a whole argument saying that oh no, you can't do that. She's always so quick to tell me what I can't do and what I can do. But last time I checked, her name is not not Judge Wiseman, and that's our judge. So, like,
They thought they were going to restrict your parenting time
right,
by having you
by having me incarcerated,
incarcerated.
right. But the joke's on them because all that did was make me want to fight more.
And innocence is worth it. I told you we have great dads out there. And I'm not only saying that because he's my husband. It's because life be life and situations change. Again, I don't know what happened prior to me becoming Mrs. Jordan, But now that we are going to design our own team of survivors and fighters and productive entrepreneurs in this foundation, it's all air and nothing but net.
Yes.
Swish. So just remember, dads, y'all have rights too. Do not let bitter baby mamas and upset exes destroy the relationships and allow these agencies to come in and corrupt our innocence based on coercion, lies, and alienation. Stand firm, know your rights in every state, and know that that innocence is always worth it. Always. In your sickness, in your recovery, in your mental health, and in your journey. Remember, they have that saying, regardless of what God you pray to or what spirituality you may possess, there is always a bigger entity that never blocks your blessings when you do things the right way, the safe way, the healthy way, the legal way, and most importantly, in the best interest of the child. First, always, and foremost. Hands down. So, I don't return back to court on my situation, but right now, the foster care agency is trying to TPR me. As far as my husband's situation, the violation of due process and custodial interference when it comes to parenting time and orders that outline those dates, times, and longevities of that parenting time. In Miss A's situation, violation of her constitutional right under the American Disabilities Act, which she is being penalized for having a medical condition that may impair her ability to parent based on lack of supports and resources when these things are common knowledge on correspondence, tangible correspondence, and are documented in previous situations. Whereas my situation has a 10-year complexity. It consists of mostly substance abuse, but that is not a reason to remove a child. As far as Miss A's situation, her medical condition was the reason why they kidnapped her children. And as far as Mr. Jordan's situation, not the custodial. You took it off? Sorry, the custodial parent is the one infringing and allowing the possibility of a state agency to enter based on custodial interference and parental alienation when it comes to the non-custodial parent obtaining information, educational progress, and medical information, which was not only outlined by the magistrate of the Commonwealth of Virginia, but it is also designated because of the laws and because Mr. Jordan is the legal father me as an agency that is supposed to make sure the child has adequate shelter, clothing, and nourishment. You must look into the history, such as truancy, such as medical neglect, such as sexual, physical, emotional, or verbal trauma, not having adequate, stable housing with running water and adequate heat when the weather changes. If the child is not receiving supportive services in school, that is also a violation of your parental rights. Every parent in the United States of America has the 8 rights that parents possess in the United States of America. Know your rights, parents. Innocence is worth it. Never stop fighting. And just know, united we stand, divided we fall, crumble, lose, and become dismissed, disappointed, and disregarded. And our children become distant, disinvolved, and disadvantaged. But after this discussion, just know our demographic, and I say that as far as indigent, indigenous, melanin, melanin infused, or poverty, knowledge, or literacy stricken. We have to each one teach one. Again, it is never about the red, yellow, black, and white, but it is all about the green. The green that keeps this country, these agencies, and this corruption like the grass that grows all around, all around. Every seed that we plant that is brought to life and that grows, you have to give that seed nourishment, love, morals, values, stability, and honor. And that comes along with respect. And I always believe children are always seen. Children will always be heard as long as it is done with respect. So I just want to let you parents know, don't give up. You have to get worse before it gets better. Think of it as a tooth with an abscess. It'll hurt until you get the medication you need to get that infection out until it can be extracted. So that's how we need to see CPS, ACS, or whatever anagram you may want to use. Again, they are like an abscess that every time you give them information voluntarily, we think as parents we are doing the right thing. But in all actuality, we are causing our own dysfunction, chaos, and just corruption because we allow these agencies to gain leverage and information. Just because we want to be transparent, there is nothing to hide. But yet, the more transparent and truthful we are, the more penalized and restricted we get. So, just for you parents that don't know, if you did not sign a contract, if you did not sign anything when it comes to CPS or ACS, they have no right to coerce, intimidate, menace you, or force you in any way to divulge your civil liberties, such as medical releases, access to your home, or access to your children without exigent circumstance, imminent risk, or a warrant. So I know I probably have about 10 minutes left, and I want to let you know attorney Vincent Davis is a CPS expert in California, and he will answer your questions as though you were in California, and you must obtain legal counsel. Adequate legal counsel. Check the stats on these lawyers. Make sure this is not their first, dependency or CPS case, whether it be Article 10 neglect finding, whether it be substance abuse, whether it be mental impairment, or whether it is domestic violence based on, you asking for support or implementing orders of protection or having the person incarcerated based on, intimidation, menacing, harassing, or overall physical assault. You cannot penalize a parent when they don't know that they are going to get abused. And that is unfair that these agencies bias us, but they go home to their children and they are the ones half the time that impose abuse. Or yet they sleep very well at night knowing that the minimal checks that they get, because they don't really make that much money. So I don't understand why they are destroying homes that could potentially, assist with the compensation of their pension and retirement. But nonetheless, we are always willing, wanting, and ready to hear your message, your story, your maniacal corruption of this deceptive agency when it comes to parents being with their children, and agencies that fail to provide adequate resources for parents in crisis, for parents in need, and for parents in danger. You cannot use life experiences to corroborate the amount of parenting you think we may possess, the amount of knowledge you think we may have, or the level of tolerance and patience we give you. Because everybody can definitely understand motivation comes from something worth moving for. And I'll move mountains for my kids, your kids, her kids, his kids, anybody's children. Innocence is worth it, guys. Reach out to attorney Vincent Davis for a consultation. The number is listed below. Reach out to the producer, Grace, if you want to be a guest on my show and tell your story. We are here every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Central Time. This has been Manic Mondays with Miss K on Mr. Attorney Davis's platform. Keep fighting, guys. Innocence is worth it. Grace.